This is not your grandparents' tinker toys. You call yourself a maker? You smell like fair and corn chips. Drop and give me 45 minutes. This is not your grandparents' tinker toys. This is a creators collective, private. Listen up and don't give me that face. Herbalds, Sprite, and Walker are about to demonstrate the proper way to create. And if you have questions, you had better be in the live chat. Otherwise, I'm going to plant my boots so far up your hiney that your mother is going to be crying. Now, listen up, you jelly-faced cat pies.
And we're back for another episode of Creators Collective. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has been watching. The live chat has been a lot of fun recently, having a good amount of people in there. And we are ready for another week on this. So, you guys have anything particular you want to say?
Happy New
Zack,
Year.
What are you eating?
Oh, I'm eating breakfast. I wake up at usually almost every day I wake up just a little bit before 7 o'clock. And today, for some reason, I woke up at 9:20. I have no idea. No clue. So it's late breakfast for me.
Dude, you need kids. They're the best alarm clock ever.
I think I'm good. Thank you, though. I have dogs. I like dogs.
You like ducks?
I like dogs. I like turtles.
So, what you been working on?
Zach's chewing, so I'll take this one. So I have been working. Yesterday, I was in the shop with a friend, making a timber smith style timber frame oak mantelpiece. It's big 4x8 timbers, drawboard, mortise and tenons. Yeah, it was pretty cool, but I kind of tweaked my back throwing around those timbers, so that's no fun.
We're all Zack tweaked his shoulder back, and I tweaked my shoulder.
Yeah, I have something going on right under my shoulder blade. I can't remember if I talked about it last week or not, or last time we got together. But I'm convinced that auto body work without a lift is the hardest thing you can do in your body. Because I spent a week under my truck on my back, holding my neck up, isometrically pushing this chunk of steel against the panel and hammering the other side. And I just messed something probably a week and a half. It's either a pinched nerve or a pulled muscle or both, and it's just not getting better.
No fun.
Anyway, back to you, Will.
Yeah, sure. I went and looked at one of those vanity jobs that I've been talking about, and got the material for that. It's going to be an interesting build. It's going to be very George Nakashima inspired. It's all live edge, and the pieces are less than desirable, huge checks and crazy ant damage and 5 gallons of epoxy. But it came down off of his property in a hurricane, and so he's got sentimental value to it, and I'm gonna have to make it work. But I think there's actually less wood than more wood. There's a lot of air in these pieces. So
those 50% epoxy builds.
Yeah, exactly. What'd you build it out of? Epoxy. Oh, and a little bit of cherry.
And it fracks it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how about you, Zach?
Well, I have been putting a lot of time in on my truck, which I'm really excited about. Welded on I had to grind off the tail light panel and weld a new one on there. I'm still not exactly sure how I'm going to make that seam look good, but I'll figure something out. This is the perfect example of taking the first step without having a plan, or a 100% thought out plan, because the way it is, from the factory, there's pinch welds that hold these two panels together that are absolutely impossible to get to. You cannot get to them. So I had to cut off the old one, drill out this one, and now the issue is trying to reattach this thing without having access to those pinch welds inside. So I put these welds on the outside of it, and I'm going to try and just grind it down a little bit, use body filler on it, and hopefully I can kind of replicate that seam. But I'm happy that I didn't spend too much time trying to figure out, because it never would have happened. Like, this is like, I think best when I'm working, not when I'm, thinking. So like, so I've been, what's that?
You have the product in your hand.
Yeah. And, I've been making good progress on it. I'm getting ready to, it's funny. I always complain about the heat in Florida. And, as soon as I get my truck ready to paint the box, I'm like ready. I have all of my primer, my paint, everything. The panels are straight. It drops down to like 40 degrees here, which is awesome. I love, like, the weather is, in any other situation, it would be absolutely perfect. I love working in this. I have a lot of forging stuff that I have to do in the next couple of weeks. It's perfect for that, but I can't paint a truck in 40-degree weather. So that's going to have to kind of, be on hiatus here for a couple of weeks until it warms back up. But yeah, working on the truck. I have, like I said, a couple of years ago, I think it was a year and a half ago or so, I did some blacksmith roses right before Valentine's Day. And it was one of my early videos, and it got like no views, and it still has no views. So I'm going to redo the rose video, and I'm actually going to do a really cool vase that's really unique. That's going to be way more work than the roses, but that's probably going to be my next project that I have coming up. So that's kind of what I've been up to.
Like one.
How about you, James?
Well, I've been working on a side table, and I have this feeling this is going to become the new dresser, because I'm kind of taking my time with it. And in the past, I have tried doing longer format detailed videos where I really break down all the steps and talk about how I lay out marking and how I'm thinking about things. And they haven't really done well. A lot of people have kind of poo-pooed them because they were longer. But it's a format that I really like. I like doing a really high detail, like you would get in, the videos for a guild project or something of that nature, where they go into high detail on every little intricate step. And I like that idea. So in this, I'm actually breaking it down into extreme steps. It's going to be like a 13-part series, covering every single joint, every single cut, making this whole thing and how I'm actually thinking it through. And so far, it's pretty good. The response in the first two videos were phenomenal. And I have one more coming out today, so it'll be my same schedule of 3 videos a week, but it will basically just be this side table for the month of January. And yeah, so it's come along.
See, that's interesting. I feel like you have to do some of those projects like that are just for you in the format that you want to do them. Like for me, just to get content out, it was like I did that carver's mallet out of persimmon. That was a 30-minute project, 45-minute project. But just putting a video out, and I've got really good response for that. But then I've also got kind of a crazy build coming up that I think it's going to be probably maybe a 14 or 15-minute video. And those usually get pretty good views, but then you get people poo-pooing on it for, being too long. And I don't watch YouTube for long form content, and, I don't have time to do that, and blah, blah, blah. But, like for me personally, multi-part videos, they aren't really my jam. Like I don't have the YouTube come back and listen to, 13 parts, but you do you, it's like,
yeah. Well, I think, James has his audiences. I mean, he's probably has like one of the most loyal followings on YouTube. I think like he's people that watch James. It's kind of a different like subset of people. I feel like his builds are very informational, involved, and I think he just has kind of a different demographic that responds to things differently. I think
this is where the cool people are at.
So,
yeah, I think James is the resident expert at certain things where, I'm just kind of over here making mistakes.
Yeah.
No,
I hear hear you there.
I like the idea because a lot of my channel is focused on trying to make things free content. In other words, I don't have any sponsors for my channel, and so it's I kind of like the idea of playing around with doing something that you would normally find in an online video school and providing the content free and say, hey, if you like this, there's a Patreon instead of here's the price for it. So I'm kind of playing around with that format. We'll see how it comes out.
Okay. Yeah, so I've got kind of some big news. So this spring, normally I would be super busy with weddings and things like that. For some reason, spring just never really filled out, and fall is filling out fine. But so coming in the new year, I'm basically going to be focusing on full-time making furniture videos. So I'm going to be kind of half full-time, at least until the fall. So that's exciting and scary as, I don't want to curse.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do.
Thanks, man. Zach, any words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom? Man, you'd have to be wise to have those.
Having what you call your best year ever, and being full-time, is it just do work?
That's a lot of it, I think, at least for me, I mean, it's hard to say because I think a lot of stuff a lot of it's subjective. So, I think for me, I've found my niche. I mean, I think doing the last 2 or 3 months of the year, I kind of had to step back and take a look at where I'm at and where I'm heading, and make sure it's kind of just a self-check of like, this is great, everything's great, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't take a step back and look and see where I'm going and where I set out to be. And it's if you're sailing in the ocean, it's really easy to just have favorable weather and get lost and have no clue where you're at, and you can be really happy the whole time. So I thought, it's kind of it's a good time for me to step back and kind of refocus and figure out why I got into it in the first place. And it's because I like making stuff. It's that simple. And I mean, it just hit me like a while ago. Like Bob Clegg, I like to make stuff. That is the best name for a YouTube channel. Like that, he really nailed it. Like as far as like hitting your why in your channel name. I mean, it's just so perfect. And that's why I got into it too. I just like to make stuff. And I don't necessarily like to make only industrial pieces. I don't like to only work with metal. I don't like to only work with wood. I like to make stuff. And I think as you get more successful, for me especially, it's easier to get caught up in the numbers and your success rather than why you got started. You get caught up in what and how, and you forget about the why. And a lot of this has come to me through that Simon Sinek book that I was talking about a while ago. But I've been reading a lot of marketing books, and just kind of the philosophy of, I mean, if you can kind of pull that out of the specific analogy and apply it more towards life, there's a lot of really good analogies and stuff that you can pull out of it. And yeah, it's like I said, it's really easy to get caught up in the numbers and, okay, I want to hit this many views and this many subscribers, and I need to make this, and it becomes accounting more than it becomes me in the shop building stuff, listening to music and being happy, which I don't want to lose sight of that, because that's why I got into it in the first place. And that's the fun part. And I really think that if you're having fun and you're passionate, everything else will follow. I think when you start to get to that point to where you are willing to compromise your excitement and your enthusiasm and your passion in order to do something that you think might be more successful, I feel like that's when the wheels start to fall off. And I don't want to do that. I just want to keep on doing the projects that I want to build, and the way I want to do them, and hope that people come along for the ride, I guess. So that's my ad-libbed words of wisdom, I suppose.
They got pretty wise there with the ship in the sea.
Yeah, I don't even sail. I have no idea.
I did talk to my wife about that last night, and because we were redoing our finances for the next year, and now this is the first year where Wood by Right, the finances I get from this are now integral to the family. And she's like, well, okay, now you can't quit it.
Nice. Gotta feel good.
I had this sudden panic of, oh no, it's now a job. And so I'm looking for ways that I can make it. I almost envy people who just do it in their basement occasionally when they want to. Because there is a ton of joy in that. But there are still ways that I can do. Like I make videos the way I want to make them. I can do things the way I want to do them, and as long as I can get those voices out of my head as the comments, I can still have it the way I want to do it. And I think that's important to make sure that it's still what you want, even though it's bringing in money.
Yeah. I don't ever want to forget how miserable I was before I started doing this. Like I was no fun. Like I wouldn't hang out with me before I started doing this for a living. I was not a fun person.
So I guess I gotta ask. So James, your revenue is coming in from viewership and Patreon, and Zack, you do commissioned work, but you also have products that you sell.
Yeah.
What is, I guess, your split of monetized videos, whether it be sponsored or not, versus products that you're selling? And if it's products that you're selling, are the big projects bringing in more money, or is it a lot of sales of the small products?
Surprisingly late. I mean, it changes a lot. It's really hard to say because it goes in phases. Like 1 month, most of my money will come from sponsorships, which has been a godsend. I didn't initially want to get into sponsorships just because I really like the fact that up until very recently, like all of my income is commission projects. Like I make my money through my work, and YouTube is just something that I do on the side. And I've always taken a lot of pride in that. But then I started working with some companies, and what I found with the sponsorships is it really frees me up to build the things that I want to build. Whereas before, when I'm doing a commission piece, I have some constraints. I usually get to do a lot of the design work. Somebody will say, hey, I want a couch, or not a couch, I haven't done one of those yet, but chairs or whatever they want. And I'll say, okay, well, what I need the dimensions that you want it, and kind of a theme, and I'll design something that'll, work within those constraints. And that's the way I've always done things and made my money. But with with the sponsorship, some of that money coming in, that allows me to build things that I want to build with no constraints. Like that C-clamp bench was a perfect example. I could do whatever I wanted to. So I did something kind of crazy for that. And like, that's the perfect example of stuff that when I get to design a project completely, it kind of, I get to take some more liberties than I would if I were building it for, somebody's house. So the sponsorships have been really good for that. The small products were incredible in December. Like t-shirts and key fobs and handbags. I was making a lot of purses. I think I made probably $1,500, $2,000 in purses in the last half of December. So, I mean, but I haven't made one since. So it's really strange. I think having diversifying your incomes, it's everything goes in phases, So 1 month most of my income will be sponsors. The other month it'll be a commission project. The other month it'll be, some of the little things I sell on my website. It just varies. So, but I think having multiple revenue streams is definitely something that's beneficial.
Sure. All right.
Well, that kind of leads us into the question we got. This is actually got a couple weeks ago and haven't had a chance to get to it. This is from Yonatan 24. Do you have any tips or tricks on not getting burnt out or exhausted when producing or making stuff for clients?
Hmm.
I think I for me, the two things that get my juices flowing are, number one, trying something new, experimenting and learning. If it's something I haven't done before, then I love that. Or if it's something I have done before, I try and find a new way of doing it and experiment. I find that really gets my brain going and helps me out. I think the other thing is just having the flexibility to do what intrigues me. If I have someone who wants something built, I always start the conversation with, yes, I can build it for you, but I want to build it in the way that I want to build it, and I can make that fit what you have. But if it's not intriguing me, then it's not something I want to do.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. I always start the conversation with, do you have a budget? And what is that budget? And maybe yes, or maybe you need to rethink your budget.
Yeah.
I guess for me, a big motivator is my family. So if I'm a little light on, the mortgage payment, then get down in the shop and make some money. But also, I think Kyle Toth gave me this trick because he makes a lot of his money turning tap handles for breweries to sell and for breweries to put in different bars that their beer is in. So he'll take an order of 200 tap handles. And so that's pretty boring to make the same thing 200 times on the lathe. So what he does is he times himself and he tries to beat his best score, I guess.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. So
I used to work in the factory.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Zach?
I think it kind of, a lot of that not getting burned out starts at kind of the project's inception. I think that I don't do projects that I don't want to do because I don't want this to be a job. I mean, it is a job, but I don't want it to feel like a job. And if I'm taking projects, and part of it is like, I mean, because most of the projects, the way they come to me, they're not projects I want to do. Somebody will show me a picture and be like, "Can you build this IKEA table?" And I say, "Yes, but I'm not going to." Like, if you're going to pay me to build you a table, let's do a table that nobody's ever seen before. Let's do something, unique and original, and that stands out. So, I mean, that's one way, is just from the beginning of the project, find a way to make the project exciting for you. And for me, I mean, maybe it's different. I'm sure it's different for everybody, but for me, replicating projects is not fun. Like it's never going to be as good. Like if you're trying to copy a project, it's never going to be as good as the project that you're trying to copy. Now, if you try and make it unique and put a couple, take some liberties and make it a little bit original, then it can be cooler, at least in your eyes or some people's eyes. So I think from the beginning of the project, making sure that it's something that you're excited about will help. And also, I mean, that keeps the process fun, as far as, he said, not getting burned out or exhausted when producing content or videos. That's another thing, is if you're doing something that you feel is really cool and exciting, you're going to be excited to record it, and you're going to be excited to put a video out because you think it's fun and exciting and original.
Well, as long as you're like a video person. I know there are people out there who that making a video is like the most unappetizing thing.
I'm kind of one of those people. I mean, it's not terrible, but the projects would be a lot more fun for me if I didn't have to record them, because it kind of takes me out of, when you're in a groove and you're just moving along and you're, I got like my radio going and I'm singing along terribly. Like I have to like pause it, and then I have to drag out the camera and put it on the shot, and it kind of takes me out a little bit. But if it's something that you're really excited to show people about, or show people when you're done, that's the other thing is, building stuff and not having anybody to show it to is kind of anticlimactic. Like, you built this really cool piece and there's nobody to appreciate it. Whereas, if you record it, that's kind of the payoff, is you'll get to show it off. So that's kind of helps, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Grum just asked a follow-up in the chat. If you hit creator's block, how do you try and jumpstart ideas and inspiration? I thought that might be a good fit to that.
Because that happened to me recently, where I just was like, I can't think of any cool projects. I don't want to go record anything. Everything I do sucks. I was really hard on myself. But I guess try to find someone new to watch, or try to find something new to read. Like with this live edge vanity build, when I saw the pieces of wood, I got kind of discouraged and tried to talk the guy into letting me just go buy some nicer slabs. But then I thought, okay, well, what is he thinking? What does he have in his head? It's George Nakashima. I mean, it's like, really, it's like, honoring this tree and giving it a second life. That was George Nakashima's like motto, right? That was his driving force in what he did. And now Mira Nakashima is continuing that legacy, which I think is pretty cool. But reading more about George Nakashima and living in a Japanese concentration camp after Pearl Harbor, and kind of paving the way to this super popular style now, that got me really grooved and like, yeah, let's give this tree a second life. Like, let's make it really cool. And I started sketching and started playing with splayed legs and angled legs and trestles. And so, yeah, I don't know, finding someone that inspires you can kind of break that creator's block, I think.
Did you see any of the so one of my parents' neighbors, I was over there on Thanksgiving, and he has tons of Nakashima furniture in his house.
Oh, wow. He's a collector.
Yes. Yeah. And he has some pieces by Mira as well. Like, I put a couple pictures on my Instagram. He has his dinner tables and a rocker, and Mira built a table and some other pieces in his house. And they're just, it's one thing to see pictures of them, and it's a totally different experience to sit in them. They're just and I can only speak of the ones that I sat in, but they're so light and refined and comfortable. It's really strange.
That's pretty cool. I'm trying to think about organizing a trip to the Nakashima workshop, because it's only about 5.5 hours for me in Pennsylvania. But it looks like a really crappy drive, like around DC, around Baltimore, around Philadelphia.
Cool.
Interesting to go
that would be
see
a
the
fun
shop.
video.
Yeah, cool.
Well, we got another question from Thom Spillane. Does anyone use rubber floor mats? And if so, what kind do you like? I don't think any of us do.
Nope.
I don't, but I've been thinking about it because of my back issues. Standing on concrete for 8 hours has been draining.
I have used them in the past. And I personally don't like them. I've tried both, like the soft ones you get at the big box store and the harder horse rubber. I've never seen a bonus from them, but I don't know. It's a personal thing for me. I have thought about them merely for hand tools dropping off the bench. That would be really nice. But
I think they'd be hard to clean around, like especially the ones with the holes in them.
Well, the harder, like the horse hardness rubber, I'm trying to remember what they're called. Those are actually hard enough that you can put all your machines on top of them.
Ah, okay.
And so you cover your floor and then put them on there. I don't know if I would want to put like, table saw and the other ones. And I think I'd want to cut out around them.
I can only imagine how terrible that would smell if I were welding over them.
Yeah. Yes. But, yeah, I know. Shannon Rogers from the hand tool school, he just put them in his shop and is in love with them. I know that. Oh, come on, what's his name? The Guild.
Mark Spagnuolo.
Mark Spagnuolo. Total mind blank there. He has him in his shop. He has his just running around where he normally stands, which I think that would drive me crazy with sweeping up and vacuuming because I'm like a total clean freak when it comes to things on the floor. But
don't come to my shop.
You can't even get to the floor in my shop. That's been on my agenda for like 2-3 days is trying to clean my shop up because I got a new like welding table. I got that new lathe, the new drill press. I have a new welder. Like I just have boxes and tools and things all over the place. I have no room for anything. So that's been on my goal for the past few days. But something else I guess I should say I've been working on is my first year of figuring out like the tax matrix of owning your own LLC. Yes. And so I kind of told myself that I would never get a Florida driver's license because I can't stand this place and we were going to be out before I needed one. But I went to go set up a business checking account so that I can get a business credit card. And you have to have a driver's license here. So
oh well.
The DMV that I met with which one of the nice things about I don't know, this is crazy. And maybe it was just my experience in Washington and Oregon at the DMV were always terrible. I mean, it's the worst place to spend time. For some weird reason, the DMVs in Florida, or at least the one that we go to, is really nice and it's really fast. They have like 20 lanes. It's crazy. But so yeah, I got a license yesterday, then met with the CPA and we're just going to pay him to do everything. So, and I think it's money well spent because I've never understood. I feel like taxes are like wizardry. I have no comprehension of. I mean, I filed my own, but when you get into like businesses and everything is a number,
it's
and
smart to get a good CPA.
Yeah, like there's so much that I have no idea. I'm sure I would have screwed it up. So. And there's a lot of write-offs and expenses and things that I wouldn't have ever known. So, I think it's probably going to cost us like $400 or $500 to have my LLC filed, and then my wife and I filed jointly. So, but anybody who does this and is new to it, look into filing as an S corp because it'll save you some money. So. That's my big takeaway. And then just pay somebody else to do everything.
Yes.
So
now we have one other question from Jeff Gruff. What is there a medium that you haven't used yet that you want to use? I'm trying to think if there's anything particular that's like, yeah, I would love to do that.
Gold. Like to do more work with gold.
See, I used to do goldsmithing. That was a lot of fun.
I was being sarcastic. I mean, it'd be cool. Copper is actually something that I've really wanted to do more work with. Especially, being as that I do a lot of like steel. I think the contrast between like blackened metal and copper is awesome. So I'd like to do more. I was
actually about to say the same thing. Doing some like copper inlays and things of that nature would be enjoyable. Especially it's soft enough you can plane it and work it like wood.
It's so expensive, though.
Yes. Yeah, a few years ago, I was driving along the road, and I saw a 2x4 on the road, so I stopped to pull it out. It was like 4 foot long, and it was a block of copper about 2 inches by about 3.5 inches, 4 foot long of solid copper.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you grab it?
Yes, I grabbed it. It was about $85 that I took to the scrapyard.
I bet you wish you would have kept it. Yeah, it's outrageously expensive, and part of it for being here in Florida, none of it's local here. They don't have it, so I wanted to order like a 3x8 sheet because I guess that's what they come in as 3x8 of I think 20 gauge or 22 gauge or something like that, and it was like $700.
Yeah,
$700.
Did you go to a
and then they wanted to charge like $200 freight because apparently they can't roll it up. So it would have been like $1,000. I was going to do this stuff for a bar down here, and I'm like, nope, it's not going to happen. Like it's $900 to get a sheet of copper down here. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's like in 2008 when the crisis happened, the financial crisis happened. My dad had a few spec homes built that he was building, and he wired it on a Friday, wired one of them on a Friday. He came back on Monday, and somebody had come in the house and ripped out all the copper for scrap, to sell for scrap.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I remember I worked for Union Pacific Railroad, and we had these giant spools of copper, like 14.3 and stuff, that we would run the track lines and stuff with. We went in there one day, and like some dude had broken in and taken probably like 10 feet of copper, but he left a set of ratcheting Greenlee cutters behind, which were worth probably 3 times more than the copper he stole.
Wow.
Yeah. Not the smartest bunch always. So,
well, speaking of materials, I think we can get into what we're watching this week because mine kind of fits into that.
Sure.
I like the translation here. I felt very proud of that.
Nice. Nice work.
Now, Patrick Adder Designs. I don't remember how his last name, but he makes rings. And I just came across his channel, and he has recently just exploded. He went from like 10,000 to several 100,000 subscribers in a couple months.
Wow.
But he did a video on making this ring out of a superconductor, which is a titanium embedded in copper.
Huh.
And absolutely incredible. But a lot of his rings are made out of carbon fiber and glow materials, and just out of crazy things you'd never think of, like semiconductor wire. And gorgeous rings. And he goes into detail. Most of his videos are longer, like the 14, 15-minute long videos. But really cool channel with a lot of information. So definitely.
Did you guys see, it was a while, like a year or so ago, I think it was maybe Inspired to Make, or I know he's European, made his own wedding ring out of a meteorite.
Huh.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
That was wild. It was cool. It turned out really good.
I actually made my wife's engagement ring and wedding band.
Of course you did.
Gold, not meteorite, though.
Let's see. All right,
Zack,
are we talking about
something?
Yeah, I read Old Man in the Sea last week. It's a quick little read. Hemingway. Pretty good book. There's actually some. It's kind of, I don't know if I want to say like a philosophical type book, but I guess I'll say that. It's this old man in this fishing village that everybody makes fun of because he's super unlucky and hasn't caught a fish in a while, and he goes out to sea and catches one that's bigger than his boat. And I don't want to ruin the rest of the story, but it's kind of a good abstraction about or abstraction of kind of overcoming adversity and just, I don't know. It's kind of it's a good book. It's really short. You can probably read it in a day or two. So
I'm trying to remember when I read that. I think that was one of my college reads.
It's a very easy read. It's not. I mean, a lot of the times you hear like these people like Hemingway or Dostoevsky, and you're like, oh, I don't want to have to read with a thesaurus, and it's not like that. It's really quick, easy read. So,
Did you ever hear the quote from Hemingway that sometimes a book is just about an old man and the sea? Yeah, so I guess everyone was, everybody has talked about Hemingway forever. And people were drawing out different conclusions of, subtext and things like that. And there's a famous quote that, he says, sometimes a book is just about an old man and a sea.
Yeah. He's kind of like the Ron Swanson of the literary world. He was like big
Ron
into
Swanson, the Hemingway of woodworking.
Yeah. It's he's like a big kind of outdoorsman, like hunter, fisher.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, Will, what you got?
I've been watching a lot of timber framing videos. I am getting back into timber framing. It's been, 5 years since the last time I timber framed anything, cut big mortise and tenons and big timbers. And so I had this mantle build coming up that I needed to somehow join. It was the mantle wrapped around a corner, and it was just a very kind of quirky space. And so I had to figure out how to kind of pick up half the load of one of these timbers. So, and I'm getting ready to build a structure on my property that I'm probably going to timber frame.
Cool.
Yeah, so there'll be some videos in that, and it'll be kind of a hybrid traditional or conventional construction timber framing.
You know what you should do? What I've been wanting to do for a while is get a bunch of things ready and then like invite a bunch of YouTube channels to come out and camp on the property and do like a farm raising. That way everyone promote it and cross promote. And
kind of like
free help.
Justice TV build.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be cool. I might think about that. But yeah, so I think Francis Bennett, I think is his name, has done some timber framing joint builds. Like he'll build a scarf joint or wedge through tenon, and just do like sample joints. So yeah, that's what I've been watching.
Cool. Well, Zach, but before I go any farther, we do have a joke of the week. This is from Jeff Gruff. Why do I always say Gruff?
He's really coming through with the jokes.
Yeah, he has. He's got like some sort of weird timber joke library. But what is the tree's least favorite month? September.
September.
That's good.
Yep. All right.
Oh, what's your favorite tool of the week, Zach?
What's that?
What's your favorite tool of the week?
My favorite tool of the week is the pneumatic Proto 90-degree die grinder. Just the little pneumatic die grinders are incredible. Especially, I mostly use it for like the auto body work, but any sheet metal or anytime you need to get in, angle grinders are like, I mean, they're big and fast, and they sometimes they're just too cumbersome. You know, if you're doing detailed work or really trying to smooth out like a weld joint or something, the little pneumatic grinders are so nice. You can just get in way tighter and not have to worry about taking off parent material and stuff. I use it mostly on patch panels, but it's just a super handy tool to have around.
I used to use those at my last job all the time.
Yeah, they're great.
I used to sharpen my chain on my chainsaw with the little 3/16 inch diamond bit. That works pretty good too. I don't know if you guys have ever used those, but my favorite tool of the week, and a nice segue from the timber framing, is the Narex mortising chisel set. I received a set for Christmas, and I just set them up yesterday, flattened the backs, and sharpened them, and got to use them in that mantle build. It's nice having a big, beefy mortising chisel.
You stink.
What?
You stink.
For getting the mortising chisels?
No, that's what I was going to pick for the week.
Oh, I was really confused.
I've been working on the mortises on the side table. There's nothing like a good, solid, beefy mortising chisel.
Here we go again. First it was horse rubbers. Now it's beefy mortising chisels.
That's one of the things that I disagree completely with Paul Sellers on is, you can cut mortises with a regular bench chisel. That's not a problem. And they work well for that. And if you don't have the money for it, then great. But if you have the money to grab a set of mortising chisels, they just make life so much easier. And they're so much more fun. So that's my thing. So yeah, I would pick the exact same thing.
All right.
That's the first time. What is this show 60? Is that true?
Yeah, this is number 60.
Out of 60 shows, this is I think the first time two people have had the same tool of the week. That's special. That's very special.
Are yours Narex?
I should change. No, mine are antique, but I was actually going to put the link to the Narex because that's the ones I want.
I've been looking for an antique set for a long time, and nobody around me has any. And so
mine's not actually a set; it's just ones I've picked up individually because I usually get them at the Midwest Tool Collectors Association meets.
Okay.
But yeah. Cool. Well, you've just squandered another 45 minutes listening to the Creators Collective. If you get that reference, I love you. So that's about it for this week. If you have any questions or things you'd like us to talk about, feel free to email, message one of us, and we'll see if we can get those in.
You know what we didn't do? Really quick.
What didn't we do?
We haven't done. I don't think we did like a year-end review thing yet, did we?
We haven't done a year-end review.
We'll have to do that.
Should we do that next
show?
time?
We'll do that next show. That'll be a good one.
Well, no, next show we actually, I was just about to say we have a special guest. Shannon Rogers of the Hand Tool School would be with us.
Oh, cool.
So that should be a fun time. The hand tool people are going to take over this channel.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, after that, at some point in January, we will do like a recap and
look back at the year
and look forward.
Sounds like fun.
Sounds good.
All right.
Cool. Well, thank everyone for.
Cool. Well, we'll see you all guys next week.
Yeah.
Till next time. See ya.
Later.
Adios.